Hey, this is Billy from Permapastures Farm. And, okay, so what is it? I think it's a Friday evening, and you can probably tell I'm a little bit tired. We've done a lot of things today. Anyway, what you see behind me are the bees. Those are 2 of 4 bee boxes. Now, when we first moved here, we needed a place to put them, and that was the only place. Well, it's right in front of this porch. So it's that time of year where bees are going to start to be active, and we can't have them there. Really, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I want to try to sit on this front porch. And number 2, right where they're sitting is going to be the spot of some garden beds, some boxes. We haven't completely worked out exactly how we want to do it, but we need to get hot on some food production around here in other ways than we've have been. And they just happen to be sitting on the real estate we need right now, because in permaculture, we work in zones. And so these guys are camped out in zone 1 when they really ought to be camped out in zone 2 or 3 down here. So tonight, here's what's going to happen. We can't really film this part because it's got to happen at night. We're going to strap these guys up. They already have little things that keep them inside. So we're going to tape it shut. We're going to put some ratchet straps on it. We're going to get them moved down all the way to the bottom of the property, so where the chickens can also have access to them. And there's a whole nother video on that alone. But we got to get these guys out. We'll get them moved out at night. We'll show you in the morning the little platform that William and I built for them. They're going to wake up there tomorrow. Hopefully not wake up while we're moving them and sting us. Hopefully that goes well, because they don't really like me. They don't mind Michelle and William so much, but they can't stand me. Anyway, these guys are going to get evicted. They're going to go to their new home. And tomorrow we're going to work on some growing boxes right here behind me. So it's the next day, and I don't look like I did yesterday. I don't have a half-grown beard looking like I ought to be pulling a rickshaw in Calcutta. So had a chance to get a little bit of sleep, and things didn't quite go the way we planned them last night. We intended to wait until dark, let things cool off a little bit. Hopefully the bees go back home, which they didn't. And we stayed up almost until 10 o'clock, and they were still on the outside of the hive. So these guys couldn't seem to get their stuff together. Frankly, we picked the worst day to do it because it was still hot, way too hot for those guys to go inside. So instead, we got up early this morning, got them taped up everything, got them put on the truck, and then drove them down to the new location. So now that they're down there, it's time for us to do the next part of the process.
Now that we have the bees moved, we're going to be adding the honey supers and the queen excluders to the top of each of the bee boxes.
Now, what you're looking at here, what is this thing anyway?
This is an inner cover that's used to provide a little bit of ventilation through the hive.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, we're dealing with little snapping turtles, so this is mostly William and Michelle's job. I don't really get involved much. So what are we looking at? What's this white thing here that you're putting on?
This is a queen excluder, which prevents the queen from laying eggs in the honey super boxes, which we're adding right here. We only want honey in these frames. We don't want the queen laying eggs up here.
Right, so the only thing getting through there, the guy's putting the honey inside those little combs. And what are you topping it off with here?
This is the inner cover again, which allows for a little bit of airflow through the hive.
All right, now these first 2 hives look pretty good. And if you see a little round mark up there, it's because Michelle uses things like kitchen knives and weights from inside the house to hold these things down.
Now, these 2 hives are swarms that we caught in Texas. So this is the first full year that we've had them. And in that year, we've moved them from Texas to North Carolina. But they seem to be doing pretty good considering all that.
Right, so it's the same process over and over again. So this is William right here adding the queen extruder and putting a super on top. It's that time of the year where these guys are really, really, really getting to work. So we need them to fill up those boxes. These are the only ones we take. Remember, in permaculture, we only harvest things and we do it within proportion. We don't take it all. We leave some back for the bees.
So this box right here was a little weak in Texas. Part of the reason that it was weak, I believe, is because it was in partial shade. They really should be in full sun. So hopefully, now that we're through winter, hopefully this will become a strong hive.
All right, so here we are. These are the two anomalies, the one at the very end. So we got one that's not doing so great, and then we have the granddaddy of them all, which is this one at the end.
The one on the end appears to be it was a pretty strong hive in Texas, and it looks like it's doing pretty good now, except for you'll see a small hive beetle there, which if we allow the chickens to run through where the bees are, that helps with the hive beetle populations. But also, a strong colony can defend itself from a small population of small hive beetles.
And I wonder if that really doesn't help that maybe these guys were captured swarms. These were swarms you and William picked up out of a tree. And so if you look in the background, I don't know if you can see it so much here, but you see those chickens in the background where those guys, the next rotation they're going to make is right around those boxes. And how long are we going to leave them there?
Probably about a week.
Right. These guys will work that whole thing over, won't they?
Yeah. So this hive, it looks like it's full enough. It looks like it's healthy enough that it's going to need to be split. So we'll have to get another complete hive, take half of these frames from this hive and put them in a different box and fill the remaining space with empty frames. And then do that with this hive right here. Fill the frames that we take out, we'll have to replace with empty frames.
Well, folks, that is a wrap. And believe it or not, it took a long time to get this thing done. Now, I said in the beginning, part of the impetus to do this was to get them away from this porch so we could actually start using it. Well, I'm standing in the corner of this porch right now because even though their home is no longer here, there's a certain detachment still left behind that's over there right now, and it's been happening all day. And this is normal. There's a name for the phenomenon, but I don't know what it is. Anyway, the places where we had these bee boxes, it's like they're sticking around and they're like, hey, the house is gone, but we're not ready to roll out just yet. So this will go on for a day or two. In fact, they're buzzing around us right now. Hopefully they don't start to trip. So I'm going to put an end to this video right now because as far as I'm concerned, we are dealing with alligators. And they don't like me, and I told you that. So until next time, this is Billy, the permaculture pimp daddy from Permapastures Farm. We're out.